Welcome to the Fire Your Boss Friday Live. Yes, it's pretty late, but I had to still go live because I had to be obedient to what I need to do because somebody might need to hear this topic. And tonight's topic is your business can replace your paycheck, but not without the numbers. Okay. If you're new to me, I am Chastity Grady. At my company, Grady Tax Plus, it is our number one goal to make sure that we are keeping the IRS out of your pockets so that you can live a better life. Why? Because you deserve it. And so on Fridays, we do our Fire Your Boss segment where I give you some tips, some tricks, some advice, if you want to call it that, so that you can have the support that you need and resources that you need in order to fire your boss for good, right? Many of you who are entrepreneurs, many of you who are business owners, you want to one day be full time in business. You want to one day be full time in business and you want to do that successfully. You don't want to do that temporarily where you're just in business full time for a few months and then you have to go back to your job or to find a new job. No, when you go into full-time entrepreneurship, you want it to be for good. You want it to be in peace, where you have financial success, financial freedom, time freedom, all the things to do that, all the things that you want to do, right? When you thought about, when you imagined having a business, right? So that's why on Fridays we do what we do so that you can have that support. Now, this is going to be a two-part series because I want to try to finish this live. I had 10 minutes with y'all. Let me just see what I can do. I wanted to finish this live within 10 minutes, but let's see what we can get done. But it will be a two-part series. It will be a two-part series. I'm gonna give you what I can right now, which is your business can, it actually can replace your paycheck, right? But not without the numbers. So let's talk about what does that look like? What am I even talking about? But not without the numbers. If you've been following me long enough, then by now you should know that regardless to when you have started your business, I don't care if today was the first day or 3 years ago was the first day, you have to understand you have to understand money. You have to understand your finances. You can't just be in business just to be in business. You can't just be a contractor just to be a contractor. You When I say you want to be a full-time entrepreneur, that means that you actually want to run your business like it is a corporation, like it is a true business. And the only way to really do that, or one of the ways rather, to do that is to make sure that you understand your numbers. So that means tracking your business finances from the very beginning. There is no prerequisite as to when you need to start tracking your business finances. There is no prerequisite. The day that you decided to collect even $1, $2, $5, however much, the day that you decided that you wanted to start receiving money and that you actually did receive money is the day that you should be tracking your finances. You can do that in one of two ways. You can use a bookkeeping software, or you can use the finance tracker that my clients love to use if you're not yet ready to get a bookkeeping software. Now, I always recommend using a bookkeeping software first, just in the beginning, because you're going to have to transfer over anyway. At some point, you're going to have to transfer over into a bookkeeping software anyway. So it's just best to just start. It's just best to just start. And also, it sets your business up for success later on because now you don't have to try to backpedal. Now that you don't have to try to do the things that you need to do in order to be financially successful. When you are a business owner, you begin to be able to use the money that you make to support your lifestyle, whether you want to buy a house, whether you want to get a car or whatever, get a loan or whatever it is. And banks and lenders and other people, they're going to ask you for your profit and loss statement. They're going to ask you for some of these things. And then you have to be prepared to provide it, not try to go and get prepared or try to backtrack and try to get those things when you need them at that time. That's the backwards way of doing things, and we don't want to work backwards. We want to work forward, right? We don't want to work backwards. So ideally you want to already have these things in place from the very beginning, because then that way, as you are running your business, as you start to scale and grow, the systems are already in place. And you probably heard people talk about systems, have systems, have systems. You probably are tired of hearing the word systems, but it's true. The systems make the world go round, right? There's a system, there's processes in place for everything, and your business is not exempt. Your business is not exempt, okay? There's processes for everything, from administrative standpoint, right? And also from a financial standpoint. You want to have the systems in place. And so when I talk about how your business, it can replace your paycheck, you have to know the numbers, right? You have to know the numbers. So when we look at, y'all know I'm gonna go back to the B word, okay? When we look at your budget, when we look at your budget, that's a number that you need to know. When we look at your personal budget, how much money do you even need to support yourself in a month? How much do you even need in a week? How much do you need in a day? How much do you need in a year? How much do you need personally? And until you master this part of the thing, this part of business, and then you might be wondering, well, what is my personal spending? What does that have to do with anything? Well, I'm glad you asked, because if you want to be full time in business, how else are you going to be able to live? How else are you going to be able to financially support yourself if you don't even know how much to pay you? I run into this all the time with clients who are in full time. They're full time in business, and they're paying themselves irregularly, or they don't know how much to pay themselves. There's no structure around it. And when you have to realize that the longer you go without having structure around paying yourself, structure around how much you need to pay yourself, the shorter you can be, the shorter you could be decreasing the amount of time that you will be full time in business. Okay, let me say that again. So the longer that you go with not having structure around paying yourself, the shorter you'll be decreasing the amount of time. You will be decreasing the amount of time that you will be able to be you'll be able to be full time in business successfully. Because how do you even know if the business can support you? How do you even know that? How do you even know? Oh, just because your the top number is your revenue, just because the top number is bringing in a certain amount that may seem more than what you were getting on your job, you may think that, oh, because the top number looks good, then my business, it must be able to support me financially. But that's not always the case, okay? Because it's not the top number that matters, it's the bottom. It's our bottom line. After we've made money in our business, after we spent the money in our business for our business expenses, whether that's softwares, office expenses, supplies, all the things. And then we're left with that bottom line. What does the bottom line say about us? What does the bottom line say about us? You remember, I tell y'all about, there's five buckets that you need to do with that bottom line. Can everything go in those five buckets successfully? Let me tell you what the buckets are in case you're new to me. Number one, taxes. The bottom line, the IRS, and this is for people if you're not an S Corp or C Corp. The bottom line is what the IRS is going to tax you on. Okay. Well, I'll say this. This does apply to S Corps and C Corps, because the bottom line is what the IRS is going to tax you on. That's what the IRS is going to tax you on. And so you need to take away that percentage. You have to take away that percentage. And let me tell you, okay, see, I knew I wasn't going to finish this in 10 minutes because we're already at the 10-minute mark. Let me tell you about this whole pay yourself first stuff, okay? Because Paying yourself first. I love the idea. Is it really realistic though? Because if you always pay yourself first, when it's time to file your tax return and you didn't account for the taxes per month, then where is the tax money going to come from? Where is the tax money going to come from? Okay, because you have to think about it. The IRS, they're not taxing you on how much you are giving yourself as an owner's draw. Okay, this is not for S corps or C corps. This is for people who are LLCs, PLLCs. You're a contractor. You're not a corporation, right? The IRS is not taxing you on the actual money that you're giving yourself. They're taxing you on that bottom line. So that's why you have to know what that bottom line number is. So if that bottom line number is, let's say, let's do some math. Let's say it's $5,000. Okay. So the bottom line is 5,000. So let's say you made, I'm just doing numbers, okay? Let's say you made 7,000. You spent 2,000 for your business expenses, and now you're left with $5,000. If we do 25% of that for taxes, that's 1,250. That's $1,250 that needs to go towards taxes. Okay, so once we take out that, we are left with $3,750. If you look at your personal budget, if your personal budget says you need more than $3,750 to live off of, then guess what? You're gonna be there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect with you being full time in business if your personal budget says you need more than that 3,750 to live off of, but you have to account for taxes too. So what happens is this is what I see. So people who need that, they need, let's say they actually need $5,000 to live off of. They see this is what they have left over. They pay themselves that whole $5,000, and then they end up having no money set aside for taxes because they paid themselves first. And then at the end of the year, so let's do 1250. Let's say every month it's the same thing. So let's do 1250 times 12. That's $15,000 worth of taxes. Money in taxes that was never put aside. And then when it's time to file your tax return, you have a $15,000 tax bill plus penalties plus interest. And you didn't have the money because you needed all of that to pay you first, right? You got to pay yourself first, right? That's what the people say. But that only works to a certain extent if you have money in excess to account for all the other buckets I've been telling y'all about, right? So the taxes. So if you pay yourself first and there's no money left over, you end up with a tax bill, and then every year it's going to rinse and repeat itself. And then at some point, you're like, why am I even doing this business? Because now I'm $50,000 in the hole with the IRS, right? This is what I see. This is what I see, and this is what I do not want for you. For those of you who still work full time, this is what I don't want for you. I don't want that for you. That's why I have you preparing yourself beforehand. This is why I have you preparing yourself beforehand so that you have the strategies, so that you have the techniques to actually fire your boss. What's the key word? For good, or key phrase rather, for good, without having the IRS in your pockets. All right. So knowing your numbers, knowing your personal budget, how much does my business need to pay me? Okay. So I realized that I'm consistently working full time on my job, but my business has this net profit of 5,000, and I personally need 5,000. So that means, guess what? Right now my business can't support me full time, but what I can do is that if my business, if my excuse me, if my full time job is actually able to support me fully, then guess what? Every month I am just gonna stack up that $5,000 each month. Each month I'm stacking it up. I'm stacking it up. I'm stacking it up. And let's say I have a 6 month goal. I have a 6 month goal to fire my boss. And if I stack up that $5,000 for 6 months, I have $30,000 in my savings account. And guess what? If I decided at that point that I wanted to go ahead and say, bye, boss, bye, job, okay, if I want to chunk up the deuces, I can do so knowing that I have a PTO fund now, I have money saved for taxes, and I have a jump start to my business to where now the full-time schedule that I can have in my business, I can maximize my schedule in order to make more money in my business so that now my bottom line can increase from 5,000 to something else. And in the meantime, I don't have to stress too much because guess what? Now I have about 6 months worth of living expenses saved up so that if I do need a little extra, I'm good. This is one of the ways that you can step into full time entrepreneurship successfully. That is one of the ways. You hear people say, oh, have 6 months worth of, living expenses saved up. When you are full time in business, it's not an option. It's not an option if before you put that pink slip in. If you don't listen to anything else that I tell you on these Friday lives, if you don't do anything else, please do not leave your job without those 6 months at minimum. Okay, do not leave. So if you need $5,000 to live every month, and if you do the math, that means you need $30,000 in your business. And technically, that should not have anything to do with taxes. So you should have another account that have the taxes in it, apart from the 30,000. So you really need more than that. Okay? But at the minimum, 30,000. And so when you look at if you look in your bank account right now, can you say as of today that you can successfully fire your boss because you have those 6 months worth of expenses in there? Can you say that? And if you can't, then it's okay. Don't get discouraged about what you see online and watching everybody else and what they're doing. They're going this place and they're going that place and they don't have to worry about putting in, PTO requests and all. Don't look at that. Look at you. Look at your journey. Look at what God has in front of you. Look at what God has in store for you and work the system. Put the systems in place. This is actually the perfect opportunity for you to put the right things in place that you need for your business before you even get full time. Because once you become full time, things get chaotic, life started lifing, and before you know it, you're like, you're gonna be backpedaling. And like I said, we shouldn't be going backwards. We gotta move forward. We gotta move forward. So this is the perfect opportunity. If you're really serious, okay, listen, I'm giving y'all the game for free. I'm giving you the game for free every week because I know there's people on my timeline. I know there's entrepreneurs on my timeline who want to fire you. Want to fire your boss. You want to be full time in business. I know it. I know it. I was one of you. I know. I know. But in order for you to be full time in business successfully, from a financial standpoint, you have to follow the steps. You have to make sure that you have the things in place so that when you walk into full-time entrepreneurship, you're carefree. You are carefree. You can have the time freedom. You can have the financial freedom. You can be carefree. You can really live the life that you deserve to live. You can really do that in reality. It can be yours. And I believe that for you. I believe that it can be yours. And the reason why I believe it because I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it in my own life. Okay? I've seen it for others and I've seen it for myself. And I worked the steps. I've done the things. Okay? And I know it works because I did it for myself. I know. I know. So I'm giving it to you for free of charge, on me. Because I want you to be financially successful in business. I know you can be. And you know you can be. You know you can be financially successful. Like dang, if I could just be full time in business, I can really take off in business. I know I can take off, and I know you can take off. But in this season that you're in right now, in your waiting season, as you wait to get to where you want to be, start storing. That's your word. Store. Store up. Okay, y'all. Okay, if you follow my motivational Monday lives, I talked to y'all a couple weeks ago about Joseph, right? In the book of Genesis, around chapter 40, 41, something like that. I had told y'all the story of Joseph, how he interpreted the dream that there's going to be 7 years of abundance and 7 years of famine. In business, when you have abundant seasons, when your business is doing well, you have excess, that's not the time for you to start flexing. That's not the time for you to do excess spending. That's the time for you to store. Okay. So if you are someone, your business is doing good, okay, it's doing good, you have this extra money, that is your time to store. That is your time to get that 6 months, to build up towards that 6 months, really a year. But I know y'all about tired of the people at the job. Okay. I know y'all are. So I'm just giving y'all 6 months. Okay. If you want to push it a year, if you can go the whole year of this year, then do it. But okay, minimum 6 months. So 6 months, that's your time to store. So you store up, you store, you store, you store, you store. In um my husband, he always said things like, you're not paying yourself in your business. You're not when I was before I became full time in business, he was like, "You're not paying yourself. Why you're not paying yourself? Da 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 da. Things could like why you're not paying yourself." Listen, I didn't need to. I was storing up. I was storing up. I knew one day I was going to be full time in business. I didn't know when. Ideally, I was like, okay, a couple more years so I can get those student loans forgiven. But listen, when I say God worked His magic, okay, I'm not even gonna say magic. He worked His supernatural, okay, and it happened before then. Plus, I was able to get my student loans forgiven 4 years before they were even projected to be forgiven. And I had to be prepared for when I needed to suddenly give my boss that notice. I had to be prepared, and I was prepared. It was just like mental turmoil because I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm giving up my career as a social worker. I'm giving it up. I'm giving it up," and it was just some internal stuff going on, and I had to release myself. I had to release myself and release myself from that employer, and surely I did. But before I did, I had storage. Even though my business was already thriving to where I didn't even need to touch the storage, but the storage was there and is there. The storage, I stored up. So in this season, I'm telling you, don't pay yourself in your business. If your full-time job can fully support you, don't pay yourself anything from the business. Store it all up. I know, I know. If you just paid yourself the stuff you're making in your business, you can have a lavish life. You can do all the things. I know. But don't store it up or use tax strategies. Y'all know I'm a tax strategy queen. Use tax strategies to be able to write things off. Okay, to be able to go on some trips and stuff and write it off as a business deduction. That's what I did. That's what I did. So instead of paying me, I I went to Jamaica for the first time as a business expense, and other places that I've gone as a business write off. Okay? If you want to travel, do it that way. Find you some business events that's going to be in the state or in the country that you want to visit, and boom, there you go. Business write off. You didn't even have to pay yourself and take your family on the trip personally. You just take listen, okay? It's levels, but in this season, your word is store, to store up. And for okay, let me speak to the person who your business, um maybe you do need your business to supplement because your full-time job is not enough. Well, that's why I say when you go back to the personal budget, in the comments, I put the link to a free personal budget tracker. When you look at, okay, if I need 5,000 to live, my full-time job is only paying me 4,000 and I need 1,000 left. Okay, well, if my business it has this excess of $4,000 to $5,000, how much are you supposed to pay yourself out of that? If you have $1,000 in need, that's all you pay yourself is that 1,000, and you store up the rest. You store up the rest. You don't pay yourself 2,000, 3,000. No, you pay yourself that 1,000 that you need, because you have to look at it. The personal budget tracker that I give you, it has everything accounted for. It has your needs, it has your wants. So if you go shopping, if you're dining out, if you're traveling, whatever you spend in a month, you will put it there. So you wouldn't need anything more than that because you've already accounted for needing to shop. Anything above that is you living outside of your means. And living outside of your means, that's not gonna help you get to full-time entrepreneurship faster. It's not gonna help you. So that's why I say if your business only needs to pay you that $1,000 to make up for the difference that you're lacking in your full-time job, then that's all your business needs to pay you. It's that 1,000, and the rest you store it up. You store, and store. And that's how one day your business can replace your paycheck when you know your numbers. All right. Listen, I told you I wanted to be on here for 10 minutes, but once I start talking, once I start talking, I just go. And so as I come to a close, I'm going to give you my benediction, but let me give you a call to action. So we are in the tax season. We are in the tax season. We are actively preparing tax returns. And if you are someone who wants to work with my company, you can do one of two things. In the comments, you'll see a link to a free informational session where you can come and I'll do a Zoom overview of, I just thought about something, but yeah, I'll do a Zoom overview of what it's like to work with my company, what I expect from you as my clients, and what you can expect from me as your tax professional. I'll show you the back end of my system so you can see what it looks like in a portal of where you'll be uploading your documents, where the intake form that you will fill out, the systems that we communicate with, all of that will be in the portal. And I'll share that with you in the Zoom. And then if you have tax questions, you just have, I don't know, you want to make sure that we're a good fit, then that's what those are for. The next one is on February the 18th, which is about 11 days from now. So yeah, February the 18th, and it's free. You just sign up. The link is in the comments. The link is in the comments for you to sign up. If you want a one-on-one appointment, I do have those available. Just use the same link and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page and click schedule a one-on-one appointment. Those are limited and they do come with an investment. So that's why I do the free informational sessions so that you can bypass that and meet with me on the Zoom February 18th. If you can't make that one, we will have them every 2 weeks up until April the 1st. Okay. Now, if you're someone you're like, Chastity, I don't need to talk to you. I don't need to see your back end. I don't need to see any of that because I already know I want to work with you. I already know I want you to prepare. I want you to prepare my taxes. I already know that. Okay, I just need to sign up. Well, if that's you, then in the comments, you'll see the link that says visit our website for tax services, and you'll be able to pick your tax package based on your tax situation. If you are a business owner or a contractor and you're not you're not a S corp, then you would use the gold package. If you have one business, if you have two businesses, when I say two, that means you do two different things. So let's say you're a social worker, you have your private practice, but then you're also a travel agent. There's two separate businesses. Okay, that would be the platinum. That would be the platinum package. And then also I do work with individuals and families who are not business owners. You'll see basic tax services in the silver package for that. And then obviously if you're an S corp, you'll see that as an option. The S Corp is a separate tax return from the personal, so it's just the S Corp. Then you will see that on my website. In addition to the link to schedule a consult with me, if you are a partnership, as you do have to become you do have to have a consultation with me one on one in order for me to decide if I want to accept you as a client. If you are a partnership, and that link is in the comments. When you go visit my website, you'll see the link for the partnership package, and you will be able to schedule. Now, I offered price transparency. That means that everything on my website, what you see there, that's what it is. So the price is the price on the website, and I have it that way because that's my system. We talked about system, right? My systems for you to get started with me is that you go on my website, you pick your tax package, and you pay your deposit. Okay, most of them come with a $200 deposit. The rest of it is due once we actually are about to hit submit on the tax return. So if that's not until 6 months from now because you wanted to get an extension, then that's when you pay. If it's in April, then that's when you pay, right? But the way you get started is you pay your deposit, and we get you added into the portal, and we take it from there, right? That's the system that we have put in place. That's what has worked for my company over the last few years. And so yeah, so that's how we do things. That's how you establish your systems, right? We talked about that, and that's my system. Okay, so if you have any questions though, let's say if you do have questions, then that's what those free informational sessions. I go deep dive into that. I'm kind of just grazing through it during this live, but I do a deep dive on the informational session. So if you're interested, then just sign up to attend one of those. Otherwise, if you're like, I don't need to attend, Chastity, because I already know you're the one, then just click the link that says visit our website for tax services so that you can get your tax package. All right. Now, as I come to a close, because I do listen, it's 12:25 a.m. So if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. Listen, I think this is the latest I've done a live. Yes, this is the latest I've done a live, and so I don't know how I'm gonna watch the replay so I can see how my energy was. I feel pretty good, but we'll see. But yeah, this is the latest I've done a live. I was being obedient, sticking to what I'm supposed to do. I gotta send a message to my accountability partner because at first I was like, "Are we still going live?" She was like, "No, let's rest." I'm about to message say, "Hey, I went live." Because, baby, if you watch my stories, I said that if I don't go live, I can't have my dessert. Let me show y'all my dessert. What I want to describe these as. Oh, it says rebels. This is the devil. Okay. Yeah. So my thing is that because I'm on this health journey, I've lost 30 pounds, and I can only eat dessert on the weekends. But in order for me to even have dessert, is that I have to do what I said I was going to do. So if I did not go live 5 times this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then I wouldn't be able to have these. So yeah, I just messaged her and told her I went live because I want those. Okay, benediction, so I can get out of here. Many of you know who have followed me know that I'm a follower of Jesus. And I've been commissioned to let everybody know that who I come in contact with on this live. Why? Is that not that you need to be a follower of Jesus, but that you just need to know that I am. And the reason being is because this whole production, none of this is coming from me. Okay? None of this is coming from me. When I say none of this is coming from me, the idea didn't come from me. Okay, the wisdom, none of this came from me. It came from God Himself. And the reason I'm telling you this is because when how much I want to tell y'all. What I'm finding is that as I'm getting more in alignment with Holy Spirit and the level of influence that the Holy Spirit has over my life, that has just been overflowing into my work. It has been overflowing into my work to where the insight that I'm providing to my clients, it's not coming from me. It's coming from the Holy Spirit. It's coming from the insight that I'm given from my oversight. And like for example, one of my clients, we were going over her pricing for her therapy. We were doing like going through different packages, and she was trying to get clarity around how to make the numbers make sense. And then Holy Spirit had dropped something in my spirit, and I had gave it to her, and she was like, boom, yes, Chastity, that's it. That's the level of guidance that I'm transitioning into providing to my clients. Okay. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not ashamed of that. And the reason why, let me give y'all the benediction. John chapter 10. In John chapter 10, the Jews, they were questioning Jesus. They were like, hey, how long are you going to keep our soul in suspense? If you are the Christ, just tell us. And Jesus said to them, I told you, but you do not believe me. The works that I do, they testify concerning who I am, but you do not believe me because you are not my sheep. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me, and they shall by no means perish, and I will give them eternal life. Nobody shall snatch them from my hand. The Father who gave them to me, nobody shall snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and the Father are one. When it comes to people who are assigned to me, you are assigned to me based on my voice, based on what you hear within my voice, not the tonation itself, but what you hear within my voice that resonates with you. That's like, I gotta get with her, and I can only get with her because she's the only one who's going to solve my problem. She's the only one who's going to answer my question that I have. There's so many other voices out there. There's so many other companies that are perceived to do what I do. However, you may not hear their voice, or you may not work with them because you have not heard their voice. This is why I'm being consistent in obedience to show up so that you hear my voice, because there's something within my voice that's connected to certain people, certain business owners, who I am the only one who can help you get from point A to point B, to help you get the IRS out of your pockets, to help you file your taxes accurately, to help you manage your money. Whatever it is on the spectrum, it's only me who's able to do that. But in order for you to know that, it's a certain sound within my voice that lets you know she is the one. And this is biblical. This is biblical. That's why I'm giving you the scripture, John chapter 10. It's all connected, right? And so I say that to say, not only do I give that benediction for myself, but I give it to you because as a motivating factor for you as a business owner. Listen, I should see lives all up and through the timeline. All up and through my timeline, I should see live video content all day, every day. But I don't. I just see posts. I just see words written. I just see, reels, maybe, or and I don't even really see the reels or hear the reels with voiceovers. That's another option. But I should see lives or reels with your voice over it, all up and through my timeline. But I don't, and I will go on a limb to say that your business numbers might reflect that. It might reflect that you might have a lack somewhere because people aren't hearing your voice. They're not getting on a call with you to hear your voice. That's another way people can hear your voice. They're not scheduling a consultation to hear your voice. But because we do a lot of our marketing on social media, sometimes that's the gateway, that's the entry point on how people come to us. And they should come to you hearing your voice. So that's why when you come on my page, when you come on my Facebook page, the first thing you see is a video of me talking so you can hear my voice. If you watch that a minute and 30-second video and if you stayed along, then I know that you have been assigned to me because you stayed, because you heard that video, because you heard my voice. Some business tip for you: put a video, pin it to your profile so that when people come to your profile, they are hearing your voice. Because guess what? They can look at you all day. You can post all the pictures you want all day. But if your voice is not the one for them, they would never work with you. They would never sign up. They would never. If your voice is not for them, that's why people gotta hear it. That's why I'm that's why I'm allowing you to hear my voice. I say that all to say that listen, go live. Go live as often as you can. Post a video with your voice on it as often as you can, because your financial success, your business success is riding on your voice getting to the people who are assigned to hearing it. Okay? Okay. That's my business tip, my financial tip, all the things wrapped up in one video for you for the night. But ultimately, regardless to all of that, if you hear Jesus' voice, then follow him. Then follow him. Okay? Again, you don't have to be a follower of Jesus to work with me. You don't even have to care anything about Jesus. That's not a prerequisite for you to work with me. You just have to know that I care about Jesus, because that's where my help comes from. And if you're okay with my help coming from the Lord, then let's work. Let's work. I've actually made it a point to where I've been entering in partnerships with people. Like, for example, I had a meeting. When did we have that meeting? Last week? Last week. I had a meeting last week with some people to partner with being a part of their community and being the go-to tax expert for their community. I'm entering into a partnership with them. And one of the tests to know whether this partnership was going to be in alignment was that when I gave my story, I was mentioning God. I was mentioning, how, God turned my life around, all the things. I just kind of threw in subtle things, nothing too overly dramatic, just kind of subtle. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, I love your story. It was so amazing. You're a perfect fit." Cool. Like I said, you don't have to be a follower of Jesus. As long as you know that I am, and you cool, I'm cool. And we're gonna partner together. Okay? So, anyways, that comes with knowing who you are and not being afraid to be who you are, to not be afraid to be who you have been called to be. I've gotten real comfortable. Okay, y'all, this live has gone long enough. I'm just talking now. I've gotten real comfortable with myself to where it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me when, how I want to say this? What's the politically right way to say it? It doesn't bother me when rejection comes my way. Yes, sometimes it stings, but it doesn't stain me. Ooh, that's a word right there. Sometimes rejection might sting, but it's not staining me. It's not having a lasting effect on me. I'm on to the next thing. I'm on to getting closer to how can I impact the people who I'm called to impact. How can I get closer to that? One door shutting in my face is me moving on to the next door that's going to open up for me. I've gotten real comfortable with that. And that comfort, that security comes with strengthening my relationship with the Lord, strengthening my relationship from a spiritual standpoint. I have a spiritual advisor, and I'm doing some work to help me to walk in who I've been called to walk into. My spiritual advisor, one of his tagline, let me see if I get it right. His tagline is, oh, what's his tagline? The power, the power of Jesus is your normal. The power of Jesus is your normal. Is that what he say? Something about like the miraculous is your normal. I don't know. He just talked about basically how your norm can be your mirror. This is not what he says, but this is the gist. That miracles can be your norm. You know, when things suddenly happen for you, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened to me." Those "oh my gosh" moments, that can be your norm. You can experience that in everyday life. And I'm trying to get to that. I'm trying to get to that level of confidence where the miraculous is my norm. The power of Jesus is my norm. That's why. That's why I give y'all my benediction, because I'm getting a step closer to where the miraculous is my norm. It's my norm. The miraculous, the power of Jesus, that's my norm. It's not like something suddenly happening and I'm surprised by it. Yes, I can be surprised by things, but it's like, oh no, yeah, it's normal that, I just won this contract. All of that's gonna be my norm. I see that for myself. Okay, y'all, it's been 45 minutes. It's 12:39 a.m. My weekend has officially been started, by the way. But yeah, next week it's gonna be a busy week. We're knee deep in taxes, so I'm gonna show up live. I'm gonna do my lives, and I'm off because we got taxes to file. Link in the comments to work with me. Link in the comments to connect with me. Listen. Okay. I feel I've ended the live without ending the live, but it's some other stuff I want to say. The company that you're around, that like when you okay, how I want to say it, kind of like when you are around bad company, that bad company, it starts to rub off on you, right? And then you start getting the effects of their bad company. But when you have good company around you, when you are able to rub shoulders with somebody who has the aura over their life, that starts to rub off on you. That starts to rub off on you, right? When you gotta, okay, that's a whole topic for something else. Maybe I'll have that for a motivational Monday live. Okay, but yeah, let me get off of here. I hope y'all have an amazing start to y'all's weekend. I hope this first week of February, hopefully it was good to you as we move into the second week of February. If you're watching a replay, hashtag replay, share this live with somebody who needs the support, who needs the guidance on how to fire their boss for good, how their business can replace their paycheck. There was some information given in this live that they need in order to do that. Don't withhold it from them. Don't withhold it from them. They need this information. Share this live with them. Share this live with your favorite communities, with entrepreneurs who need to fire their boss one day. They just need to know how to do it for good. This video will help them, all right? Okay, so I hope y'all have an amazing weekend. I will see you on Monday for our Motivational Monday Live. Have a good one.